Story 1. She married an amazing man, and they both earned their doctoral degrees. She was then asked by several universities to teach the course related to her doctorate. She became pregnant and sadly died during childbirth, along with the loss of the baby. Story 2. He went to college and graduated cum laude. He was a high-level manager at a branch of a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and last I heard, he retired at the age of 28 or 29. Now, he works part-time at a restaurant because it makes him happy, and he enjoys being around his colleagues. It is less stressful, apparently. Story 3. The smartest student in my class understood that keeping me informed about his life was not necessary. Story 4. The smartest individual became a surgical nurse. The one I find most interesting was either the second or third smartest. He attended university for a medical degree like his father. He decided to take some time off, went to Hawaii, and loved it so much that he stayed. He is still there. He started in construction, and last I heard, he owns his own construction company now. I appreciate that he was smart enough to become a doctor, but being in the trades and living in a beautiful environment was better for his well-being. Not to mention, he was always a very laid-back person. He was popular, played quarterback in football, but was just kind to everyone, not fitting the typical popular athlete stereotype. Story 5. He was not only smart, but also very into fitness. He started juicing and ended up ruining his relationship. I had not talked to him in years, but even I heard about it. Last I heard, he went into sales. Story 6. I don't know about the smartest kid in my class, but probably the most successful one started Khan Academy. I'm not undermining Sal, he was a smart student. However, some of the juvenile delinquents he attended class with were also quite intelligent. Story 7. I saw him on public broadcasting, creating a respirator out of recycled parts in a developing country for the underprivileged. He is a published doctor at a leading university now. He has a beautiful family and is one of the best people I know. No one here expected the positive conclusion, did you? Story 8. One was offered a job at the National Aeronautics and Space Administration before finishing high school. One started a business that was last valued at $500 million. Story 9. For one of my schools, he got injured in sports, became addicted to drugs, and is now homeless and a drug dealer. Life comes at you fast, I guess. Story 10. There were many intelligent kids in my school. I cannot say she was the smartest, but she was probably in the top 3. She joined the United States Olympic bobsled team. Story 11. She got into Oxbridge to study medicine, but experienced a significant nervous breakdown from which she has never fully recovered. Now, she lives with her parents and volunteers at homeless shelters. Story 12. It was me. I dropped out of college. I had severe anxiety and couldn't handle school anymore. I couldn't sit in class or even walk across campus without shaking. I used to eat from the vending machine for weeks at a time to avoid leaving my building. I changed my outfit so my roommate would stop asking if I had left the room. Being abused for years is not a recipe for success. Thanks, Mom. All people hear is that I didn't finish college. The reason doesn't matter. 10 years later, I'm more hopeful than ever. I feel like I'm finally getting my life together. I might just become the most successful person in my class after all. Story 13. The 2 smartest students in my United Kingdom 6th form college class were identical twin brothers. I once achieved a higher percentage than them in a single mathematics exam, but generally, they were much smarter and more academically advanced than I was. Both of them attended the University of Oxford, and the last I heard, they are working in finance in London. Story 14. I was the smartest kid in my graduating class. On paper, I'm living a comfortable life with a well-paying job, a degree from a great university, a happy marriage, and the opportunity to explore the world. Introspectively, I'm depressed and feel that no one truly understands how I feel, not even the people I love the most. I'm always in high-pressure environments, and I wish I could isolate myself to find inner peace. I feel lonely all the time and struggle to open up about my emotions. Part of the reason is the privilege of having a good life on paper. My personal troubles seem less important overall, and I often hear advice to look at what you have and appreciate it. While this perspective isn't wrong, it doesn't help me feel better. Story 15. Not in the same class, but he was my senior and led most of the academic clubs and competitions at our high school. Now, he is pursuing a master's degree in computer science at Stanford. We do not actually keep in contact. I just checked his LinkedIn profile. It is so well deserved, and I am genuinely proud of him. Story 16. Jobless, depressed, and lonely, he spends all day doom scrolling and cycling between Reddit, TikTok, and YouTube, holding his phone while answering this question, with obvious stains on his shirt, not caring at all. Story 17. He went directly into graduate school at a prestigious science university, never graduated, and is now the chief technology officer of a major electric vehicle manufacturer. He seems to be doing well for himself. Story 18. I don't know how to explain it exactly. He has given up on everything in life. He is alive but practically a zombie, going through the motions and doing things just because he has to. He always has a stone-cold look on his face, barely talks, is unhappily married, and mostly lives off his parents' money while sometimes wasting large sums of money, disappearing at night without anyone knowing where he goes. Story 19. If we're going by test scores and scholarships, it was me. I chose the wrong school, hated most of it, got burned out, and barely finished. I ended up in a different field than what I earned my degree for. I made a decent career in information technology, got burned out on that, and am now semi-retired, making a substantial hourly wage running a niche business and having plenty of free time. I feel like I should have done better, although to be fair, I've had pretty abysmal luck with investments, so all things considered, I can't complain. Story 20. She became pregnant at 17 to her 18-year-old boyfriend, who then left. Coming from a religious family, they told her she could not have an abortion. I have heard she is a great mother, but it took away her potential career opportunities, and now she works a routine managerial job. Story 21. It's me, but I grew up poor with no support system, saddled with student loan debt that costs more than my mortgage each month. College degrees aren't worth much these days. I think I'll always have that feeling of not living up to my potential, but I am happy with my life. Story 22. He received a full scholarship to a state university, which is not difficult to enter, but it is a large and popular institution. He has a wonderful girlfriend who is very kind to him, but he remains a shy individual and does not socialize much. We were good friends, but after high school, we lost contact. Story 23. A drunk driver traveling 80 miles per hour on the wrong side of the road caused an accident. She lost most of her right arm, has a large dent on the left side of her head, and had to relearn how to do everything. Story 24. Two of the smartest kids in high school made different choices. One decided to follow his passion for art and became a graphic effects artist for major films. The other pursued a career in physics and collaborated on the Large Hadron Collider. Story 25. A journalism degree and experience as a researcher for network television led to a recruitment to headquarters in New York, where I was an early victim of HIV/AIDS. Story 26. An undergraduate at the University of Virginia, a Rhodes Scholar, and an MBA graduate from Harvard. He is the president and chief operating officer of a capital firm. He is quite successful. I still remember when he cried after getting his first B in the 8th grade, though. Story 27. The smartest girl moved to the United States, is married, and has been working at Microsoft for over a decade. The smartest guy attended a highly competitive direct entry Doctor of Medicine program, which was the only one of its kind in Canada at the time. He now lives in Australia and is married to a gay adult film actor. Story 28. Honestly, it was probably me. To answer that, I developed a disability that significantly altered my vision for the future. I was nerdy and clever, but I was also very into sports and aimed to pursue a career in that field or as a police officer. I became overwhelmingly depressed, developed agoraphobia, and barely went outside for a long time. I dropped out of high school due to it and had thoughts of self-harm frequently. Now I am 27, unemployed, and without qualifications, but I do have a wonderful fiancé who has provided me with a lot of support. I've been going out more, overcoming my anxiety, and my depression is only about 10% as severe as it was. I have solid plans to return to education. The disability has progressed as it was always going to, but at this point I have come to terms with it. I feel hopeful about the future and generally like the person I have become. Story 29. Somebody spray painted them orange and convinced them to be best friends with a Nazi. Oh no, I meant the smartest kid, not the stinkiest kid. That's my mistake. Story 30. I bullied him every year of high school. I crossed paths with him when he came to me asking for help because he knew of the profession I worked in. He told me he couldn't secure a job after university because his self-confidence was non-existent and he failed almost every job interview. He also had some bad spending habits, but in my eyes, he was still one of the most intelligent people I know to this day. I coached him on how to do well in job interviews and regain confidence, and I referred him to a data science role within my company before I left. Last I heard, he rose through the ranks very quickly to become the head of operations. Deep down, I truly regret probably being the reason why his potential was cut short because he was amazing with numbers, and he was the reason why I'm such a quick learner since high school. Story 31. I was number 1 in my class for the first 3 years by a long shot. Then a new girl transferred in and narrowly surpassed me. Both of us had perfect grade point averages, but her SAT score was 2 points higher. When we graduated, she mentioned that she wanted to become a risk analyst for insurance companies. She was very prim and proper, had blonde hair, and harbored an unrequited crush on me, but I appreciated her nature. Immediately after graduation, she came out as a lesbian, and I was happy for her. She dyed her hair purple, became a leader of the Occupy Wall Street movement, and chained herself to trees for publicity. She discussed universal basic income, criticized wealth inequality, and claimed that working for corporations was foolish. Now she asks for rides to Taco Bell on social media. Story 32. Not sure who was the smartest, but one of them was simply selling life insurance and investments, essentially scamming the other kids from the class with huge fees. Story 33. Attempted a flip, broke their neck, and temporarily paralyzed themselves. The last I heard, they have recovered, though I am unsure if fully or partially. Story 34. We had 2 friends. One lives in Paris now and was always smug and stuck up. The other was bullied terribly since elementary school. She is a pharmacist now, married, and just had a baby. The boy from Paris was extremely popular, captain of the soccer team, and participated in every extracurricular activity possible. I will never forget when my mom made me take piano lessons in 4th grade. We went to our annual piano concert, and to my surprise, he was there too. The look he gave me screamed, "Don't you dare tell anyone I'm taking piano lessons." I think his parents were immigrants who pushed him extremely hard. Story 35. Last I heard, he is in a relationship and works as a civil engineer with a master's degree. It has been a few years, though. Story 36. One went to Oxford for a Doctor of Philosophy. Another fell in love, got married, and dropped out of university. Probably the most wasteful stopped caring during their high school years. They just quit studying and doing homework but still managed to get through school with a 70 average. Story 37. He was the only one who could afford a detached house in the neighborhood where we grew up. Story 38. My friend went in a different direction. He didn't listen to music in school due to his personal beliefs but achieved the best results in all his exams. He landed an impressive insurance job, earning well above average. However, he started using drugs, lost his insurance job, and began working at a drive-thru. He became a born-again Christian and came out as homosexual. He then started working at a betting shop. I still offer him all my love and support. Story 39. He worked in the first Trump administration briefly under Scott Pruitt and left as chaos unfolded. He has since completely abandoned the Make America Great Again ideology. Story 40. Studied advertising but dropped out to pursue bodybuilding. The last I heard, he was part of a multi-level marketing scheme. The school was among the best in the country, so he was quite intelligent. The girl who topped the school the following year studied law but dropped out to work full-time in the university's international student program. She still works there. Story 41. She attended Harvard, developed a severe drug addiction, and now works at a diner in my rural hometown. Story 42. Last I heard, They were hired by the aerospace industry after completing their PhD and are living a comfortable life in New Zealand. Story 43. The smartest became an airplane mechanic in the Air Force. The second smartest is a mechanical engineer in the Navy. Nobody from the class has an education level above a master's degree, and there are only a few individuals. It should be no surprise that I am from a small town. Story 44. She became a psychiatrist and worked in corrections assessing inmates. There, she met a boy who was disruptive and difficult during school, bullying other students. Yes, she assessed the boy who had bullied her. Story 45. He earned a master's degree in chemical engineering and then transitioned to marketing as a brand manager at a reputable company. Although we are not in regular contact, we follow each other on Instagram, and he appears happy and content. Story 46. He worked for Google for a while, received stock options, sold them, and now he doesn't have to work if he doesn't want to. He is not excessively wealthy, just free. He travels frequently, engages in a lot of volunteer work, takes academic courses for enjoyment, and assists his parents when needed. He is my best friend, but I only see him every few years for about a few weeks because his whereabouts are unpredictable and his willingness to communicate is limited. Story 47. Smartest person. Holds a job but spends all day in his one-bedroom apartment smoking marijuana and playing video games without engaging in anything else. Class bully. Died in an unsanctioned boxing match. It is strange to see words of praise for someone who was a known thief, had numerous encounters with the police, and was generally unpleasant while enjoying intimidating others. Both of the individuals mentioned were in their early 40s. Story 48. Developed an application. It was not successful and the individual appears to be a heavy drinker, possibly an alcoholic. There may be pressure from high expectations. Story 49. I was the only one who actually listened closely in my second school. I was the smartest and now I'm making music books and not in school. Story 50. We had two friends. One I haven't seen, and the other is studying computer science and posting on Reddit. I was one of the smart kids, which wasn't fun in school. Now it has condensed to a lot of smart people in class, and now I'm average, which is nice and leads to much better conversations. Story 51. I attended several schools, and the smartest girl I ever met became a neurosurgeon. We were good friends despite my parents trying to compare me to her whenever someone had higher grades. I am not a competitive person. There was no competition as I was always in second place, but I was never jealous of her. I admire her. Story 52. Last I heard, they are living with their parents and have not worked since finishing school. They sew lollipop outfits that they wear every day. They could make money if they sold them, but they do not. Story 53. He attended a prestigious university in Canada to become an actuary and received multiple job offers from large insurance companies before graduating. Last I heard, he has been in Hong Kong working in the insurance field. Story 54. He started an internet security company in the late 1980s and sold it during the internet boom in the late 1990s. He is now a multimillionaire in Sweden. Story 55. We graduated high school together in 1986. She is a talented doctor with national prestige and influence. Story 56. Personal issues derailed his initial post-high school plans. However, he was able to recover and now has a decent job in technology. People would say he is successful by any reasonable metric, but he didn't achieve the heights that others expected. Story 57. I am sitting here reading in the morning. Jokes aside, it would be pretty hard to know who the smartest kid in the class was. The top 25 students all went to Ivy League schools and became wildly successful. I guess I attended a pretty privileged high school. At the same time, we also had students throwing dice in the bathrooms in between classes, with the prizes being drugs and scattered dollar bills. It is indeed a wild spectrum. Story 58. Pursuing a career in the health industry. The one in high school becomes a civil servant. In college, I focused on an IT-based path. I guess life has been fair to them. Story 59. The smartest person I knew in high school went on to achieve mediocrity through a challenging existence. She came out as gay and clearly struggled since her family was very religious. She is a software engineer, which is a solid job, but not what she was capable of. The valedictorian at my high school went to Yale, graduated with a history degree, and married a brilliant patent lawyer. She became a stay-at-home mom. Last year, she graduated with a master's degree while raising her 2 kids in middle school, and now holds a position as the director of philanthropy. It always made me sad, as she was a very good friend whom I expected to change the world. Story 60. I saw him at our local public library a few months ago with his child. He looked relaxed and happy. Due to his extraordinary academic talent, he was expected to achieve great things. I am not sure what exactly, but always great things. He never cared about the expectations others had for him and did not conform to the roles anyone wanted to assign to him. He was truly the smartest student in our class. Story 61. I came from a small town where the kids all grew up very close to each other. Our class president in elementary school was the best student and also the best athlete. He was tall, handsome, from a well-to-do family, and the teachers loved him. I moved away after 5th grade. About 15 years later, I went back to revisit my hometown, especially to visit my old teachers whom I missed very much. A few of my childhood friends met up with me, and we bought gifts to take to our main teacher. I asked about our class president and learned that things didn't turn out very well for him. He was mostly idle and spent his days reading newspapers and playing chess, being largely unproductive. The conversation quickly shifted to other topics. To this day, I think every now and then about what happened to him. I hope he found his footing and is doing well with a loving family. I remember that one of the salted duck eggs we bought for our teacher broke along the way to her house. At the time, I was very sad about it, feeling the weight of watching something spoil and not being able to do anything about it. Story 62, he went to Oxford, then spent a few years in investment banking. After that, he started a tech company that developed an app to simplify a specific task at investment banks, which he later sold for a significant amount of money. He currently lives in the mountains with his partner and dogs, and he does not have to work for the rest of his life, as he is only in his early 30s. Honestly, I would be green with jealousy, but he is such a lovely guy that I am only glad for him. Story 63. Our valedictorian, who was also the captain of our football team, turned down a Division I scholarship to play college football in the Southeastern Conference in order to concentrate on his studies. He is now a surgeon and has always been an incredibly nice person, genuinely a quality human being. Story 64. She got married during her freshman year of college but dropped out because her husband wanted her to be a stay-at-home mom. He was arrested the following year for engaging in a relationship with a 14-year-old. She now works at a dispensary. Story 65. She attended a university on a scholarship. I attended the local college. We both work at the same plant in a small-town community. Story 66. One person is still living happily in our hometown as a health and safety manager at the local cheese plant. The other is actually a friend I talked to over Facebook Messenger along with a couple of other friends. He and his wife got a place a couple of years ago in Sacramento, and he works for the state. Feels good to catch up with friends. Story 67. She wanted so badly to be one of the cool kids, started smoking weed, and has not yet graduated from college. I saw her last summer, and the spark in her eyes was completely gone. Story 68. He won a Rhodes Scholarship and studied at Oxford, where he became a professor. He is one of the most humble and decent people I know. Story 69. He walked the edge between fame and despair for years. He had multiple failed relationships and went through several phases of self-discovery. He was always surrounded by exceptional, talented, resourceful, and attractive individuals. It is truly about who you know, not what you know, once you get past the first layer of proving yourself to yourself. Story 70. He finished his PhD at 21 and worked until he was 30, when he retired. He owns a small house near the seaside. He enjoys fishing and doing what he wants. He is single but has had a few girlfriends. Story 71. He teaches acting to children and is also a history teacher. The last time I met him in the middle of the day, he smelled strongly of alcohol. Story 72. From high school, a mathematics professor at a mid-tier public university. From college, a quantitative fund manager quietly harming the world for the rest of us. Story 73. I don't know, to be honest. I come from a very small town where people with that kind of promise mostly leave and never come back. On the other hand, if they stay, they often become addicts. I have watched several of my classmates become unrecognizable due to addiction. Story 74. The smartest student in my high school class became a professor of physics at 2 universities simultaneously. He has authored or co-authored many papers. He was likely equal in intelligence to another student in my class, but that student did not strive for high grades. He said he only wanted a specific grade, which I believe was 65 or 70%. During exams, he would submit his paper after about half the allotted time, having answered that percentage of the questions. He became an assistant professor of physics. I am not sure whether he ever attained the rank of full professor. Story 75. No idea, but I am richer than all my teachers and probably all my classmates. I was the child with a learning disability. Story 76. I was denied admission to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology because of my Asian heritage. Instead, I attended the California Institute of Technology. The last time I saw him, he was still socially awkward as ever, but he was working at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory and was explaining how they planned to land a helicopter on Mars. He was so socially awkward that I had to explain why one of us suggested the helicopter should be playing Fortunate Son. Story 77. She attended a local Christian college, got married and became pregnant quickly, and may now be a stay-at-home mom. Story 78. He received a scholarship to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and recently one of his research papers was published in a prominent science journal. Story 79. He is one of my closest friends 20 years later, even though we live far apart. He made it out of our small hometown, got married, has a few children, works a well-paying technology job, and removed his emotionally abusive father from his life. I am very proud of him. Story 80. I'm not sure if I was the smartest, but my introduction during high school graduation was by far the longest with all my awards, distinctions, and scholarships. I was definitely among the top students. Some of my closest friends were also very intelligent and are now computer scientists, materials engineers, and more. I obtained my Doctor of Philosophy degree and now work for a large technology company. It wasn't my original role, but I am now developing specialized artificial intelligence models for internal use and for customers. These models mainly focus on computer vision, rather than the large language models that often make the news. Story 81. The valedictorian attended a 6-year medical program and became a dermatologist. The actual smartest student, who was too intelligent to pursue the title of valedictorian, attended the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, then worked at the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, and is currently a project manager at the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. Story 82. She became a movie producer, married one of the biggest movie stars in the world, and is likely a billionaire now. She did well for herself. Story 83. We had a classmate who we often said was the smartest person we ever met, but we wouldn't trust him to catch a bus. He had no common sense. His parents were the typical type who believed they didn't come to England from India for him not to be a doctor, so his academic performance was excellent, but his social skills, cultural awareness, and common sense were lacking. On A-level results day, he cried because he was only the top student in the country for chemistry and biology, not physics. The last time I saw him, we weren't friends. Last year, my son participated in a play with his drama group at my old school's hall. While walking in, we noticed they had photos of famous or successful alumni, and there he was. Apparently, he is now a brain surgeon. Well done. Honestly, if I ever needed brain surgery, I would feel really reassured knowing he was the one performing it. Story 84. She attended Harvard, met a man from Brazil during her first semester, became pregnant, dropped out, and moved to Brazil. Story 85. He earned a graduate degree from a prestigious college, raised a few children, then joined Scientology and is now out of contact with everyone who knew him. He missed his mother's death and funeral a few years ago. I hope he is doing well. Story 86. Teachers became frustrated with his behavior. and his grades dropped from 110 to nearly zero after they began penalizing him for academic dishonesty and misconduct. Story 87. She had to give up her opportunity to attend Harvard and Princeton to stay home and marry the man her parents arranged for her. They are still married and have 2 children. Story 88. She had a free ride to nearly every college of her choice in my state. She dropped out after her first year, got married, and as far as I know, she is now a nurse. Story 89. He became a heart surgeon. He was part of a class of 80 students in a small town. He once created a heart animation on an Apple II computer. Story 90. I worked at Blockbuster while attending university. I never achieved my goals. I resemble the comic book guy from The Simpsons. Story 91. I never thought of it that way. The drug dealer at my school received straight A's and never studied, while the valedictorian was often deceived by others. The most ordinary girl I ever met also had straight A's. Loyalty to education and academic institutions can lead to knowledge, but many people hide from the world in books. Intelligence, competence, education, and awareness are all distinct. People shouldn't compare themselves to others or concern themselves with others' affairs. Story 92. She wasted her potential and ended up as a secretary at a local company, married to an average person. Story 93. 2 master's degrees in physics and a PhD. I am a researcher at IBM. We were close friends in elementary school and both intelligent students. In 8th grade, we took advanced math, and I realized then he was far ahead of me. Story 94. He became a plastic surgeon, specializing in rebuilding breasts for women who have undergone mastectomies due to breast cancer. Before anyone suggests otherwise, while he was a bit unconventional and didn't care for me much, I never witnessed any inappropriate behavior from him. Even though he didn't like me, he was polite and never said anything unkind. I honestly think what he is doing is impressive. Story 95. Quanta Magazine wrote an article about his research in mathematics. Story 96. There were 10 valedictorians in my graduating class, and I was one of them. Let's see. I am a divorced mother of one who works at a prestigious institution and also does consulting and adjunct teaching on the side. He is a married pharmacist with 4 children. K is a married doctor with 2 children. G is a tenured professor. R is an academic researcher. I have no information about the other 5. Story 97. He went to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology for his master's degree, graduated, and took over his family business. He transformed a small local operation into a well-oiled industrial machine. He is a really nice guy and one of my best friends. He treats everyone nicely and is very humble. He deserves all his success, to be honest. Story 98. He ended up triple majoring, became burned out in college, dropped out, developed schizophrenia, lost access to his medications and doctors when he was removed from his parents' insurance at 26, and now lives in a homeless shelter in California. Story 99. He was already working for our town's mayor while in high school. I hope he is doing well. I enjoyed spending time with him, even though I wasn't interested in politics. He is a very bright and kind person. Story 100. The 4 of us were equally intelligent, each of us excelling in different subjects. I am a registered nurse with experience in pediatrics and the neonatal intensive care unit, and I am currently at home with a baby. My friends include a special education teacher and another registered nurse who works in the operating room. The 3rd friend has an interesting background. She attended art school but lost the ability to create art for a while due to nerve damage from an injury to her hand. She eventually trained her other hand to create art and later transitioned to a career in IT engineering. Story 101. I looked her up a few weeks ago out of curiosity. We attended elementary school together. She skipped the 4th and 5th grades, as well as one of the early years in high school. She is very intelligent but not the easiest person to talk to. She is currently working on an artificial intelligence program at Snapchat. Story 102. A father who neglects his responsibilities forced him to work to support his siblings and mother. He finally emerged from his difficult situation, but then he was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and is now living paycheck to paycheck. He is a great person, but he faces terrible circumstances. Story 103. She attended a prestigious college across the country and proclaimed she was destined for greatness, making sure everyone was aware of her ambition. She met a law student and many believed they were the ideal couple. They married and enjoyed a comfortable life until one night he assaulted her severely, leaving her near death. She underwent reconstructive surgery and was never heard from again. She never returned to her hometown. Story 104. I am the valedictorian of my class, though I am pretty sure I am not the smartest one. I attended the best university in the country. I failed to finish my degree and took a leave from school to work in various jobs. Life has a way of humbling you. The rest of my class went on to finish their degrees while I worked the graveyard shift at a retail store to make ends meet. Eventually, after almost 2 years, I went back to school, earned a law degree, and passed the bar exam. I am currently working as a lawyer. Story 105. They claimed my ego was too large, that I had an unearned sense of entitlement, and that my excessive self-confidence blinded me to the fact that an IQ of 113 isn't particularly remarkable. The fools. Story 106. I don't know her anymore, but from looking at her Facebook, it appears she didn't do anything. There is no career or college listed there, and no mentions of anything else. Just pictures of her children and husband. Story 107. I am right here. I was so smart that several teachers have said, I cannot teach you anything, and they give up completely. Story 108. One of the smartest and prettiest students in our class became a doctor and married another doctor. I don't know about the rest because I haven't kept in touch. In my elementary school, the student who received a scholarship from our group worked at Starbucks, got pregnant, and became a single mother. She returned to her home country and is living life as the daughter and only grandchild of her wealthy parents. When she finally agreed to travel back to Taiwan, they sent her and her son business class tickets. There were only 2 of them, her and her brother, whom she always referred to as the favorite. She claimed her brother was also more attractive. Her brother never married, and she has a son, who is biracial, really handsome, and cute with brown hair. He probably uses her name since she never married the father. It wasn't a serious relationship, perhaps. She never discussed it. She was very innocent and likely had sex for the first time and got pregnant. She never shared details with me, but we met up with her son a few times. I felt that her son, who came by accident, and would typically be a source of shame in traditional East Asian families, is actually the reason her relationship with her parents is healing. It seems like the world is making up for the circumstances it previously put her in. Sometimes life works in mysterious ways. The other smartest girl in our school, who had by far the highest grades in our cohort, gave her life to Christ and became a member of a missionary group. The smartest girl from university, not during university but in life, is someone who married an heir to bear. She wasn't the traditional pretty girl, although she was pleasant-looking and had a great personality. The top student in our university course went to Singapore, which is significant because we come from a developing country with low wages, and Singapore only accepts the best of the best. She married her Indian boyfriend and was always brilliant and accomplished. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.